Welcome back, everybody, to Fresh Friday. I hope you all enjoyed that live aquascaping.
Dude, that aquarium is turning out so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it looks so good. It doesn't even have water in it yet. And we will be revisiting that on the final stream to show it filled with water, because it always does look a lot better once all the plants fluff up in the water and stuff. So you will see more of that one. We really appreciate James coming and doing that, because it's really cool to see.
If you guys haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell.
It's Fresh Friday. We're going strong.
Yep.
We took a little break. It was nice. For more information about the sales and giveaways that are going on today, check out waterboxaquariums.com. But during this stream, we are giving away 2 $500 Waterbox gift cards. So on this, it's in the description as well as waterboxaquariums.com, where you can enter the giveaway. You have until 3:30. And then they'll cut off, and we'll draw the winners at the end of the stream. There will also be a bonus word that's going to randomly pop up on the screen throughout it. And this is going to get you 10 extra entries on that giveaway form. So we want to pay attention when that word shows up.
Yep. Excellent. If you guys have any questions during the stream, definitely post them below. Again, we are, just to mention real quickly, the grand prize giveaway is at 7 p.m. You can enter that now as well on waterboxaquariums.com, so don't forget to do that.
That's 3 $1,000 gift cards. So that's going to get you a lot of nice stuff. And yeah, like I said, put your questions in. I'm going to try and leave some open time for Q&A, just because I know that Axolotls tend to bring a lot of questions. Hopefully I'll answer most of them in this, but definitely drop your questions down in there.
Perfect.
I guess you don't have to introduce me or the stream.
I'd like to welcome Jess to Waterbox, or Fresh Friday. If you guys don't know, Jess breeds axolotls, right? Tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I breed axolotls, and my business is called Lotls. You can find me online. The link and everything is in the description as well. So kind of, I guess, as a side thing for me, but I started keeping axolotls quite a while ago, fell in love with them, did a lot of research into ethical breeding and how to properly pair them and all that stuff, and that has brought me to this point. Been around for a while, and we produce a whole bunch of beautiful axolotls. So
lots and lots of
yes. So I'm going to tell you a lot about keeping them, just because a lot of people see them, they want them, and they are an awesome, unique pet, but they do have special considerations. So I guess one thing is, what is an axolotl? And with them, they're actually a salamander from Mexico, and they actually do not leave their larval state. So they always stay as water dwelling unless they morph, but that's a whole nother conversation about that. So they stay in their larval state, and they're actually critically endangered in the wild. So the ones that you see now are all bred in captivity. They're not taken from the wild or anything like that. Their habitat has been demolished, pollution, construction, that kind of stuff.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes, so which is pretty cool, because we now can create a lot of cool different morphs and colors with these guys, and not your standard brownish green that a wild axolotl is. A cool fact about these guys is they can actually regenerate limbs, gills, organs, and spinal cord. They're used a lot in science for their regenerative capabilities, but yeah, they could lose gills, they could use chunks of their tail, and they actually do regrow them, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
So,
guys, I've not heard any of this information, so I'm with you guys on this stream. I'm learning.
Yeah. Actually, we'll take a quick look at our girl Lola here. This is our office axolotl. There she is, out there. So this is Lola, and we're actually going to feed her later. And she's being nice and active for the camera. Oh, it's super bright. I don't know if you can adjust it or not. So she is excited to be on camera today. All right, so let's talk about, I want an axolotl. What do I need? What is their care? First thing to consider, of course, is aquarium size. For a baby, you could start out in a 10-gallon if you wanted to. But for a single adult, you need 20 gallons. And the longer is better than a tall tank, because they do spend a lot of their time on the bottom with some swimming, as you see, but they're not going to be up and down swimmers.
Right.
So longer and not as tall is a much better choice here. If you want to keep multiple axolotls, 20 gallons for the first one, but then 10 gallons for each additional one.
Okay.
And you see here, we're using a Clear Mini 30, which could technically house 2 axolotls. It's got a nice long footprint. It's a great choice for them. So this is, Lola's got it all to herself. She's lucky. She's not full grown yet, so Lola is about a year old. They hit their max size around 18 months, so she still has some growing to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big again? What do they max out at?
I mean, they average a lot of times like 8 to 10 inches, but
Okay.
they can get bigger than that. Like I have some females that are probably like a solid 12 inches. They're quite big, but they're definitely more mature size.
Yeah.
So aquarium size, if you can start with a 20 gallon, it's going to be a lot easier than starting smaller and then having to upgrade.
Right.
So start with a good size. These are some of my babies at home. Filtration is really, really important with these guys. They're dirty. You need good filtration. So you can use sponge filters. You can
Look at
use, that's Bella.
Is it really like a blue, or is it like a bluish gray?
It's like a bluish gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a melanoid, which in certain lights kind of has like a purplish or bluish look to her. But like almost like a velvety skin color. Yeah. So the types of filtration that are pretty good: sponge filters, hang on the back filters, and canisters. You want your filtration to be rated at least double the gallon size of your aquarium. Over filtering is way better than under. Canister filters, I feel, are the best choice, especially for anything over 20 gallons. I feel that they filter the water better. They hold more biological. So on anything 20 gallons and up, I try to use a canister filter.
When you say they're dirty, do you mean like because they eat a lot? Do they have like perpetual diarrhea?
Well, they're a big body mass, so like they're
eating a lot.
They're eating a lot, and they're relatively dirty. So, I mean, you're feeding them big chunks of worms and stuff, so their bio load is just higher than like a fish or two. So, as it showed on right there, they don't like a lot of high flow. So if you have something that has a big output of water, a canister filter, or hang on the back that's like splashing or pushing a lot of water in, put some kind of sponge or something that kind of breaks up that water and makes it a little bit more gentle in the aquarium. If the flow's too high, you're going to find that they hide out a lot more because they don't want to be in a high direct jet. So like on canister filters, that's like a overflow sponge. I just cut it in half and wedge it onto the output. You can use something similar on like hang on the back filters. So you just want to cut that flow from being like a direct push in a certain area because they tend to avoid it.
She is very active right now.
She is. She's been resting all day and just ready to go for her time here.
Ready for the spotlight.
Yeah. Spray bars you can use for canisters, something like that as well. On this one here, this is the Clear Mini 30, and we're using the Sicce Space Eco 200 to filter this one. You could easily add a sponge filter in there too for extra biological space and like the air bubbles and stuff. But a canister filter, I feel, is definitely the superior choice for filtration. Like I said, they are dirty. And it's not against them. They eat a lot. They make a lot of waste. But she's just floating everywhere. They're comical, pretty. They're an awesome creature.
So fun to watch.
Okay, so you got your filtration, you got your aquarium picked out. Now what should I do as far as water conditions? What do axolotls like? And they like water a little bit harder actually. So pH of like 7.5 and up is good for them. They're not going to do well in really soft water. So do take that in consideration. We're lucky here in Florida, we naturally have hard water. But if you're in an area that you don't, you do want to buffer it properly to make sure that you're meeting those needs. Of course, dechlorinate your water always if you're using tap water. And they're very sensitive to ammonia and nitrite, so those have to always be 0. There's not much wiggle room in that with these guys. They will stress out with bad water quality. And your nitrate should be 20 or less. So they don't take for dirty water. You do want to keep it pretty clean, which is why you have that extra filtration. You want to make sure that you're handling the bio load and you have enough biological in there to keep the ammonia and nitrite always at 0 once your tank is cycled, of course. And I think the thing that scares people away the most about axolotls, they're cold water. They are a
I've been seeing
lower
a lot of chatter
temperature.
about that
Yes.
in the comments.
So they're not going to go in your tropical tank. You're not going to have them in a warm room of your house. These guys are going to do best in the mid 60s for your water temperature. You kind of have a range, 60 to 68 degrees, which is acceptable. But you really can't hit that 69, 70 degree mark and higher, as it's going to cause a lot of stress. You'll end up finding fungus on their gills, just very stressed in general. Most of the time, just some clip-on fans is all you need. So here we have 3 clip-on fans on this Clear 30. Keeps it at temperature, absolutely no problem, not even at high speed.
Nice.
So these really big difference. They're going to cause more evaporation, but they do cool the water by a substantial number of degrees.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So you don't have to be as fearful about the low water temperature as it kind of makes seem. But now if you keep your house at 77, 78 degrees, the fans aren't going to cut it.
Yeah.
So in that kind of situation, you would have to look at a chiller. But for the most part, enough fans, picking a good location that stays cool in the house is definitely going to help keep you in that temperature range that you need for them. So, like I said, if your temperature is spiking too high,
There's a wall there, Lola.
there's a wall.
Well, it
Then
doesn't
you're
look
going
like-
to have.
It probably doesn't look like that to her, though, maybe.
No. They don't have the best eyesight. They don't have eyelids, so they are somewhat blind. So, you know, they do bump into stuff here and there. So with your water temperature, a few other things you can do that help is you can float ice bottles. Take water bottles and freeze them and kind of rotate them throughout the day to help you drop those extra degrees. Problem with this, if you're not home around your tank all the time, you're not swapping them out all that regularly, it'll drop your temperature real quick and then it comes back up. So it's not the best, but it can help if you just need a little bit more cooling to the water. So clip-on fans are really your best bet. If you are super hot in a house or you have big systems, a chiller may be more necessary.
Yeah.
At my house with mine, because they're larger systems, they all have to have chillers. It's just fans won't cut it enough, but you know, you can definitely get away without having to invest in chillers, because chillers aren't cheap.
No.
And it adds a whole bunch of an element. It's more electricity, you know, it's just more equipment. So try your fans and all that stuff first if you keep your house pretty regularly temperatured. You're really enjoying watching her.
I can't stop looking. Look at her. She's just
looking
look
at
at her. She just was just chilling there, floating at the top.
Lola, you're a star. She is super active right now, which is great.
She's hungry, probably hungry. Where's my food?
Yeah, she is. She might actually see the worms on the counter
Yeah.
and like, yo, that's my food.
eyesight.
Well, I feel for food, they can see a lot more than you think. So temperature, you got that figured out. You got your fans, or maybe you invest in a chiller just because you want more peace of mind. Simple, you know, you've got that figured out. Now substrate. You can't just put anything into an axolotl aquarium on the bottom. So people might like, oh, I want to put some nice gravel or put some decorative rocks and stuff in there. That's not going to work. So any axolotl that's under 5 inches cannot be on any substrate. So you cannot have sand in there. You're best off doing bare bottom or tile, just because when they eat, especially when they're younger, they're like little vacuums and they'll pick up anything around it, and that includes big mouthfuls of sand. And if you had gravel, it could cause impaction. So you don't want anything in there while they're still small. As they get bigger, if they ingest some sand, they can pass it okay. So you want to go with no loose substrate until at least they're 5 inches. When you do decide to put anything in, you want to go with a very fine sand. Like here on this one, we're using the Supernatural Crystal River. It's a nice fine sand from Caribsea, and if some does get ingested, it's not going to impact and cause issues. There's a lot of times out there that people have put like little gem rocks or gravel, and then an axolotl eats it, they get impacted, doesn't do well. You know, your axolotl could easily die. All of your rocks should be much larger than their head. You want them like very large fish size, so that there isn't any chance of accidental ingestion. We used only big rocks in here and the sand. You can use tiles that are kind of sealed so that you don't have a lot of debris stick into them. You can go leave it as a glass bottom, absolutely no problem with that as well. It's for easier cleanup. Bare bottom tends to work pretty well for that.
Nice.
But don't put anything in there that is even around the size of their head. They have huge mouths, and they're not always the brightest when they're trying to go for food, so they will take anything that's loose into their mouth, and can cause a whole bunch of problems with these guys.
See a lot of good questions in there. You guys, we're doing a Q&A at the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Figure there's usually brings a whole bunch of questions in when it comes to axolotls. For decorating your axolotl aquarium, you really, whatever you want to do. There's a ton of different ways to do it. You can do artificial plants. You can do real. The main thing you want to consider is that axolotls need places to hide. So they are happier if there's somewhere safe that they can go and hide, especially if you have a light on there. Those caves give them somewhere to get out of the bright light whenever they don't want to be under it, because they can be more sensitive to it. So you can use, I mean, we're showing you a couple different varieties. There's fish and reptile decorations, as long as they're meant to be in water. Tons of great choices. Just no sharp edges. You know, make sure that the paint or anything on it doesn't start peeling. But you want to give places for them to retreat and hide. And then beyond that, whatever you choose for decorating besides that, I mean, you can use terracotta plants, PVC pipes, coffee mugs, any kind of those things, as long as it gives them somewhere to go. Use your imagination of how you want. I prefer all my axolotl tanks natural. A lot of live plants, looking as natural as possible. And I feel that those plants help with water quality too, naturally. So one of my favorite parts of it is you can have a nicely planted, natural looking aquarium and an axolotl.
Right, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that a lot.
So you just have to choose easier to keep plants, stuff that can handle the cooler temperatures, swords, Java ferns, Vallisneria as well, Anubias and all those do really, really well. Don't take a ton of light and will still grow and give a really, really natural look into it. But I see a ton of people that do like bright glowing plastic plants, really, whatever your heart desires, as long as there's not anything that's not safe in there for them, is really where it comes down to, is you don't want anything that they can ingest, nothing with sharp edges. Their skin is very, very fragile. So if there's too much sharp, they're going to cut themselves and can get bacterial infections and stuff. So you want to keep everything really nice and safe. Here, in this one, we're using a couple like fish reptile hides covered in plants to make them blend in, look a little bit more natural. And then also a piece of driftwood in the center. So in this one, it's mostly Java ferns because they're just so easy. They grow really well. We got a little bit of Anubias, one sword in there. And that's going to fill in really easily with the lights and give you a nice natural tank. And it's going to help balance it out a little bit too.
Nice.
Yeah.
I see a lot of, I've seen a few comments about like them being illegal in California or in Canada and stuff. With them being, you said critically endangered? You'd think that that would be the opposite for some reason. I don't know why, but like, why wouldn't they want them?
I believe that the places that some of them are illegal also has to do is that there's naturally occurring salamanders, and if they got into the population, that they would be able to crossbreed.
Gotcha.
And then just some states just have those kind of rules or whatever. But there is a handful of states that they are illegal in. Can't ship to them, can't sell on them, any of that stuff. So don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much anywhere online, it will not sell to those states. So, you know, don't go crossing borders and stuff trying to get an axolotl. It's just unfortunate for that. So as I was talking with lighting as well to consider is mine never seem to matter, like be bothered by it too much because I generally run lights because I have plants and mine will come out with full lighting on all the time. They'll go tuck away if they want to. But, you know, that's why you also have those caves and stuff in there. It's because if you're going to have brighter lights, they have to have that ability to get away from it if they want. If yours has probably been in like darkness, some people don't even use lights on their tank. If you happen to put a bright one on, it might take some adjusting time. But, I mean, all of mine, they're out full lights on. They don't really care too much. But they can be more sensitive to light, so just make sure they have some good areas.
Do they, so I'm assuming they probably naturally come from a lower light environment. Is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then they don't have eyelids, so they don't really have any protection of their eyes against light. But like I said, mine could care less ever, it seems. But I think they're just used to it since they were babies. They've always grown up with lights on a timer on their aquariums, because I try to, and as many of mine as possible, run it really natural with plants and wood and stuff like that. So, like you see, she could care less if the lights are blaring.
Yeah.
Doesn't look as bright on here, but she's got their plant light on and a glow light. And we're going to talk about the glow light in a little bit, actually. So water changes and maintenance, you got your tank set up, decorated, getting your axolotl. Maintenance, you do need to stay on top of it a little bit better. So like we said, we don't want those nitrates going above 20. So keeping up with your water changes and testing regularly is going to be a big part of it. Nitrates too high are going to cause them distress, which could be lack of eating. Their gills will not be as fluffy. You know, they can get fungus and different infections like that from the stress of water quality. So really important to keep an eye on those. Another great thing is every day or whenever you see it, if there's any waste, go in there with a turkey baster and pick it up, because that's going to be less stuff to break down, less ammonia breaking down in the aquarium. It's going to keep it cleaner and keep your maintenance a little bit easier. Having that great filtration is key. You know, I see a lot of people, yes, can you run this, 30-gallon tank with a little hang on the back filter? You can. Is it going to run as well as if it had a canister or, an additional sponge filter? It's not going to run as well. And it will make a big difference in your water quality and also the clarity. So turkey baster is like your best friend. Spot clean any food and poop as you see it. It's going to help keep your tank a lot cleaner. Keep those water changes up to keep the nitrates 20 or under.
How frequently do you do the water changes?
It really depends on your waste, and what your testing is. If you have it and you've got poop in there and you haven't picked up for a few days, your nitrates are naturally going to be higher. But I would figure a lot of times, if you can go for a once a week water change, it doesn't even have to be like a massive one, but just consistency, I think will definitely help. Now, if you have a small filter, not a lot of biological, it's going to make a difference, and if you feed and just leave leftover food and stuff like that, it's going to impact the water quality quite a bit. I'm going to get you one for your office.
When she comes to the surface.
Keep staring at it.
I know.
Well, she's so active right now. Every time I've come in here, she was kind of like under the driftwood or something like that. When she comes up to the top, is she gulping air?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So their gills, which they never lose because they stay aquatic, is actually how they breathe in the water, but they can actually come to the surface and they have regular lungs too to breathe from there. So they can breathe both ways.
What an odd creature.
They're really, really odd. And I think it's what makes them so popular is they are just so unique. They do have a pretty good personality once they get to know you. Mine are like little puppy dogs when I come close, probably just because I feed them. But it's like fish. They love the one that feeds them the most. But they do recognize you. Speaking of all this, how dirty they are, maintaining good water quality, cycling your aquarium. Could not stress any more of how important that is before you get one. They are not something you can throw into an aquarium and let them be in there during the cycle. They're not going to handle that kind of stress and ammonia and stuff like that. You really want to cycle it thoroughly. If you have another aquarium and you can pull some media or filters from there, it's going to help. But you do want to dose with an ammonia source, build up that beneficial bacteria. Using a good bacteria source will help you. But for a smaller juvenile, you want your aquarium to process at least 2 parts per million ammonia per day. The larger the axolotl you're going to put in there, the higher. Like if you were going to get yourself a nice big full-size adult and throw it into an aquarium, you would really look at having to process 4 parts per million. So you want a very strong established biological before you put one in, because it's going to be very dangerous. Someone says, but I don't want to wait for next 2 months until I can get an axolotl. What is done a lot of times, I've done it before, is what you tub him. So you're like, I want an axolotl now, my tank's not ready, or you thought your tank was ready, but it's not. You jumped the gun, you saw the cute axolotl, you bought it. So tubbing is quite common in this hobby. So what it is basically your axolotl living in a plastic container. Surprisingly, they do really well like this. So example, like just like a plastic tub, it can be like a Rubbermaid, food storage, something that's big enough for the axolotl to move around, can turn, put like a little bit of a hide in there, coffee cup, something that they can kind of hide into. Air stone, optional. Now the only downside with this is you have to change the water every single day so that the ammonia doesn't build up too high. Now, axolotls can live like this probably for the rest of their lives. Not ideal. It's more work on your end, but it's a few minutes per day. Have another one ready, swap them, dump them, and do that once per day. And this is going to allow you, which I find a lot of times, especially if you're getting a baby, time to kind of bond with them, but get to know like their habits and also teach them to feed different items. When you put a baby into a bigger aquarium, it can be harder to get them to feed and like get food to them and not be as messy. So the tubbing method actually helps quite a lot in like getting them fed as when they're young, because they get sold about 3 inches and up, so it's still pretty small. Put that one into a 30-gallon tank, kind of gets lost, harder to feed. So doing the tubbing tends to be a common practice for young ones, or if your tank's not ready and you have your axolotl but it's not ready to be cycled yet. I've seen a couple people ask, what can go with an axolotl?
I've been waiting to ask that myself.
I got it like 6 times.
Yeah, I've seen that pop up a lot. I was like, I promise we're getting there. So axolotls are very limited on their tank mates. Let's talk about tank mates that aren't axolotls first. Is you can put in guppies, like any of those, like guppies, platies, like really peaceful type of stuff. They can generally handle the lower temperatures, and they're not going to be aggressive and trying to nip at the gills and stuff like that. Of course, you still have to be cautious. Ghost shrimp are also a great one. And both the fish and the shrimp can become snacks, but I find the ghost shrimp are great as helping to clean up the aquarium while they're still alive. And if your axolotl is really well fed, they're generally not going to put the effort in to hunt down a shrimp either, so they can tend to last a while. Big thing with that is any fish, any shrimp that you're going to put in your aquarium they need to be quarantined for 30 days to make sure they're not carrying any parasites or any disease, because that's the last thing you want to introduce into your aquarium. So quarantine, guppies, shrimp, stuff like that can go in with them before you add to your aquarium. And those are all perfectly fine. They may be a snack, they may not, but you can add some movement and like some enrichment for them too, to kind of hunt and chase. As far as multiple axolotls together, main thing comes down to their sex. You cannot house males and females together. It will cause overbreeding and stress to the female, which will shorten her lifespan and will ultimately end into too much stress and death. So they'll basically breed to death. So same sex, I feel that they love to be together, because I have female tank and male tank, and they are always bundled up together into the same hide. They're always hanging out next to each other. This guy here, that's Queso sitting on top of Glowsy Dots, just chilling. And I find them always together. Do they need each other's company? No. But I find when I've kept them together that they tend to always be together. There's actually 5 females in that picture all hanging out.
Wow, that's
in
cool.
that one. So problem being is you can't confirm sex of an axolotl until they're 18 months old. So males will sometimes become obvious earlier than that, but you can't rule out the fact of them, what gender, until they're 18 months old. So if you have juveniles together, you have to be prepared to split them up if you end up with a male-female. So yes, you can keep them together as juveniles, but you have to be aware that they are not guaranteed to end up being the same sex and may have to be separated, which means another aquarium, another setup, or rehoming one of your babies. So do keep that in mind with them. So these are coming for next, but these are some of the axolotls that we have produced here. So
one of those pictures looked like somebody's just stuck those, those stick-on eyes on them.
They have huge
that's what
eyes
they
when
are.
they're babies. They do. Their eyeballs are huge. Ooh.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah.
They've stuck
Oh, yeah.
googly eyes
He
on
does.
them.
He does have little upward eyes on that guy. And I guess like kind of the last topic on care is going to be feeding. What do you feed these guys? And best food source for them is worms. Live worms, got earthworms, night crawlers, red wrigglers, all of those are going to be your best food source. You can also feed with carnivore pellets, like the Hikari carnivore pellets are a really good choice. There's certain pellets that are made for axolotls. There's something called rapashi grub pie, which you actually make into like a mold. That is a good food. I find that any prepared food, just like with fish, pellets, things like that, they're going to create more waste because there's more filler. What's the most natural food? A worm.
Yeah.
So that is going to be the cleanest thing to feed them and also the most nutritious. So while it doesn't have to be their only diet, I say for the best growth and health, make that their main diet. Treat and supplement with the other ones. Don't make the other ones their main diet. So they can eat pretty good size worms. You'll be surprised when you see kind of how big of a food source that they'll take in, which is another reason why you can't have small rocks and stuff, because they got a big old mouth and they like Hoover vacuum when it's time to feed for that one. So live food, worms, stick to those. When they're small, like under 6 inches, you want to feed them twice a day if you can. They have a pretty good metabolism. They grow fast. So generally as juveniles, they grow an inch a month.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, they get substantial size pretty quickly, and it does take a lot of food and energy to get to that point. Over 6 inches, you can usually go to once a day. Once they're older and mature, you could probably go every couple days, but every day feeding, if they'll take it, it's still going to be better. We're actually going to feed Lola, just because it is a lot of fun to see.
What's the lifespan?
Can you do it right now?
Yeah. I mean, they can live like 10 years or so, somewhere around there. Yeah. So Lola's definitely ready for this, I believe.
I mean, if you put it right in the middle, I don't even have to move the camera.
Can you see pretty close?
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, switch.
There she is. If I can get her to stop swimming. So we actually have, I don't know, we can see. Oh, yeah. So these are actually European night crawlers. They're pretty good size. They get bigger than this, but these are the ones that I grabbed. I'm gonna get her a big one. I just rinse them off from the dirt. Of course, I have like a big worm farm at the house for this. Hi.
In the middle.
Tell her that.
She'll get there.
Hey. Oh.
Oh.
Come here. She's like up in Biddy's swimming. Let me see if she wants to grab it. Like a
There you
vacuum.
go.
Let her eat that. So Lola is
Are
a
those just earthworms?
yeah, these are European night crawlers, but yeah, a different type of worm.
Yummy. Looks delicious.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
yum. Ah. See if she wants to go for another one.
I think it's like, no!
See if she's still working on that one,
How long
but
does it take her to eat one?
I mean, it depends. Like, she's still chewing that one up, but I'll leave that one. As long as you know where the worm's going, you can kind of let them hunt for it. The worm's not going too far, and then she can find it. But once she's done chewing that one, she should go hunting for another. But so Lola is a leucistic, also usually known as a Lucy. It's kind of the common name known for them. Probably one of the most recognized as far as the color types of an axolotl. Usually they have a more pink color, but you'll see that Lola actually has a very yellowish color, and this is because she is a GFP, which is a green fluorescent protein. And what it is actually in the labs they have injected, and this was back a while ago, they injected axolotls with a jellyfish protein, and that gives them the glow. Now it actually passes on to the babies when they
Interesting.
breed for the GFP. And I don't know how well the camera's gonna pick this up, but I'm gonna come around and take that light off. So, cool thing about GFP is it makes them very, very popular is under a blue light. Does it show up?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. You can kind of
Let me try to
get the idea.
Trying to see. So under the blue light, they glow this green yellow and super bright. So people tend to really look for the GFP just because it does add a pretty cool
that's
element.
pretty darn cool. You can't pick it up quite so
No,
well on
it
the
doesn't.
camera.
If you go on my website, I think I probably have some pictures of GFP. But
What's your website?
Or dragonslottles.com. Also on Facebook, Instagram, all that. Oh, she's going for it.
Oh, wow.
You can see some really nice pictures of GFPs that we've had in the past of different varieties. She's like, nope, too big. She'll get that one in a minute. She's thinking about it.
Adriana says worms gross me out. They kind of gross me out too a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta get over it if you want one of these guys. She's like, I don't know now. I can drop in a little bit smaller one. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of different varieties or morphs of.
That worm is dumb. He's just going right for the...
It's a worm. She might not want more than the one. We'll leave those just in case. That actually, and you'll be surprised. Worms can live in the aquarium underwater for a substantially long time. Like
I was actually
days
gonna ask
later.
that.
I
Like-
found them alive days later.
That's why
And I don't
worms are
even
a
know
little
how.
creepy. I mean, like, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Also, don't be able to get cut in half and.
So as long as
or
you keep
don't
an
have
eye out, make
multiple
sure it
hearts.
doesn't
What is it? Don't they
die.
have like multiple hearts or something? Worms.
Can you
Something like
switch
that.
to the other light, Jess?
Oh yeah.
Looks better.
Yeah, this camera doesn't show the GFP as well, but there.
Cool.
Yep. I think we have a couple of pictures we're going to show. So, we are offering so Dragonslottles, I have a promo code available to you guys. It's going to be for 15% off of Axolotls. The promo code is Fresh Friday. And I'm going to keep that running for a while. So, if you want to scroll through some of the pictures I have for this, just to show you some of the babies that we've grown and raised and kind of our setup at Dragonslottl is during the summer months is a time that I don't plan a lot of breedings. Reason being, they're cold water.
And we in Florida.
And we're in Florida. So the shipping logistics during the summer is very hard on them, and there's a higher chance of them arriving dead or getting stuck in the mail during the summer months. So I don't try to have a whole bunch going on during the summer. And it also makes it so you have to overnight ship. During the little bit cooler months, we can do ground shipping with great success, which is much, much cheaper than overnight. So there isn't a whole bunch on the website right now. It'll ramp back up in September, but you'll see all the babies here that we have produced, a little bit of everything. I breed according to lineage. All my babies, all my adults have lineage for generations back, from known lines. You have to pair females and males together. You have to know their background. You have to know their history, their health, but also what color genes they carry, so that when you pair them, you know what colors you're getting. They have what are called hets, and that's the ones that they carry that you don't see. So when you mix, you know which ones are going to produce and what varieties and stuff like that. And because, real quick, so this is kind of my setup here. I have a couple of different racks, and you see they're binned with a large sump system. A chiller running them because they're so big. But this makes it a lot easier to keep their water quality very simple. A lot of places will do just tubs and change them every day. And that's what I did at first, but I found that I think this is a much healthier, consistent way to give them
So you add a sump to add water volume?
Yeah.
Is that ice on the bottom of the thing on it?
Ice? No, it's on a wire metal racks.
Oh, I just thought that was ice.
Oh, no, that's biomedia. So I run Filter Sock's a big old brute sump that ties all the systems together, and I have 3 different racks for that. But I forgot what I was saying.
That's okay. How many Like right now, how many axolotls do you have? Would you say? Are you
So it's pretty low.
or how many when you're breeding? I mean, you have like
So
hundreds of babies.
oh yeah,
at a time,
I mean
right?
at a time, generally when it's during not summer, right now, like right now, whenever it's a better time of year for it, there'll usually be hundreds of babies at any given time, usually in different stages, because you don't want to have 300 at the same time at the same size. You want to have different pairings, so you have variety and different lineage and stuff. And then some that are just laid, some that are growing, some that are ready. So it can be a couple hundred at any given time. And if you check out my social media, you'll see a ton of the babies we've produced. It's just like I said, the summer months are not the best time, and I don't want my babies getting cooked in the mail. So I keep it pretty cool back then. So I'm gonna keep that promo code active pretty much for the extended period of time, just because that way people want to set up a tank, it'll still be active at that time.
I have a question which my kids also asked when they came here. And someone just asked it, can you touch them or can you hold them?
You can, but you shouldn't.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, I mean, taking them out of water is going to be just stressful. And also, handling them and stuff will damage their slime coat. So you don't want to. They belong in the water. It's like taking a fish out. You don't need to. They don't want to go out. So you want to really handle them with care. Also, a lid is generally recommended too, because if they get spooked or something, you don't want them flying out and losing them. So, keep a lid on there. You should be good. And this is a really cute big axolotl I have at home that I thought you'd bring in.
Where did you even find this thing?
Huh? This is actually from one of my other breeder friends. She just had
really?
some of them. Yeah. He is an adorable weighted golden albino axolotl, and he's actually really, really heavy. So hopefully that answered most people's questions. Gives you some insight into if you were thinking about having one of these, what you need and for proper care. I know the thing is with these, they hit such a craze because of Minecraft and stuff with the kids that I know, unfortunately, there was a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of impromptu purchases. So, there really
Sounds
are
like
such a
the
great
Finding Nemo.
Yeah, they're such a great
dilemma.
creature, that are specialized to, take care of them the right way.
Here's you guys answered most of the questions that I found, but here's one that I don't think you answered, and maybe you didn't.
Question, are they like pets? Will they interact with the owner?
Yeah, they each have their own personality, some more than others. Some of mine, if I'm in the same room near them, especially just my adults and stuff that I've had for a while, I see them hanging up and looking at me, and and is it for food? Yeah, probably, but I still take it as,
course.
But they do definitely recognize, and I have some cute videos on there of petting them and stuff like that. They'll come right up. They're very, very friendly when they go in. And there's other ones that want nothing to do with you or anything in life, and they go hide. They do have different personalities, big time.
Nice. Do they have gills?
Yes, that's their little frilly things out there. That's actually their gills and how they breathe under the water. And that's what makes them so cute, is their big fluffy gills.
Yeah. And their little beady eyes.
Their little beady eyes. Lola's just walking all over her worms at this point.
I think that's it for all the other questions I see. You guys have Richard asked them, and you guys have gone through them.
Well, perfect. All right. We have some gift cards to give away.
We do.
You look like you're looking at something.
Someone said grindle worms.
Oh, yes. So I do have grindle worms. Well, they're out of stock right now. But
No, but I was like, what is that? Why are you selling worms? What is that?
grindle worms are good for
like a food
raising
source.
babies with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're a really, really tiny worm. They're easier to grow than white worms because they can handle a higher temperature. But my culture's actually crashed, so I'm regrowing them, and then they'll be available again.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dragonslotls.com. Make sure you guys.
They all sound like Harry Potter names.
Right?
Grindle worm, white worm.
It does. Make sure you guys save that coupon code if you're looking to do an axolotl or something, an axolotl tank.
Yep. Also, go follow me on Instagram and Facebook from the page. You'll see all the little babies and updates and stuff like that. And it's just cute pictures. If
She's
nothing
over
else.
there chomping away right
Oh,
now.
there you go. She's going for it. You got a camera back on her?
You gonna show it? Yeah. Oh, look, she took it.
Yum, yum, yum. Of course, she like chewed it all up before. There she go. Count. She's going for it.
I think she ate both of them.
No, the other one went to the corner.
Oh.
There she goes. She's working on it. Yeah, I love her because her gills are like the brightest pink
Yeah.
versus her like yellow body. Very striking. She's gonna make some pretty babies when she gets old enough.
So you just gave her like 3 big worms. When's the next time that you gotta feed her that much?
With her, like usually I'd offer like 2 or 3 every day or 2.
So you feed them 2 or 3 times a day?
No, like I do 2 or 3 worms at one time, once a day or like every other day. And then sometimes they'll still skip it, and sometimes they'll seem like they're still hungry. But I mean, you can tell that her belly, she's not suffering without food at this time. She's round. All right, so we got some winners.
Yes.
All right, ready?
Let's go.
Number 1.
Michael Spencer. Congratulations, Michael.
All right, we got 1 more to give away.
Do we still have that like clap track in the background?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
You put your headset on, you hear it.
Yeah,
Hi,
actually.
yeah, but.
I want to hear it.
All right, ready?
There you
All
are.
right, winner number 2.
Ah, pretty cool. Congratulations. Congratulations, Braden
They're not just listening to
Valgartson.
us make our own weird clapping
Yeah.
drum roll and stuff. Congratulations. We'll get you hooked up with your gift cards. And we're back in 13 minutes.
Ah,
Quick break. Back in 13 minutes. And for this one, gonna love it. This is so much fun to do. Is we're visiting a huge fish farm. Don't want to miss it.
see you guys
See you
in a
soon.
few. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell.
Don't go anywhere. Make sure to join us on the next Fresh Friday stream for more guests and giveaways.
And don't forget, Fresh Friday is the best day to save big on your new Waterbox aquarium.
For more about Fresh Friday, visit waterboxaquariums.com.